How do you shoot a Springer safely and effectively? Well, I'm going to give you a few tips here, a few do's and don'ts. I've got here the BSA Lightning CLX in Walnut, which is an absolutely gorgeous break barrel rifle. So the first thing I would advise, especially if you're a hunter like I am, is to actually shoot your rifle wearing gloves, if you wear gloves for hunting, which most of the people who I know that hunt do wear gloves. So when you're practicing, make sure you practice with your gloves on. That's the first tip. Second tip, and this is something that I'm guilty of, even though I've been shooting Springers all my life, since I began shooting over 35 years ago, is break the rifle, always keep hold at the end of the barrel when you're loading it, hand away from the trigger, and then put the barrel back into position. So that's a safe way to cock and load your rifle. Safety was on, safety is now off. Now, something that I still do after 35 years, when you get into the zone and you're rattling through that tin of pellets, I'd never let go of this bit, but something that can and does happen to me, you have to really try and make a conscious effort not to do this, is you want to grab that barrel as close to the end as you can. Now, as you're rattling through pellets, there's a tendency to start working your way up the barrel. I mean, you don't go too far because that makes it even harder to break, but I'm quite guilty of holding the barrel around here. It's not the right thing to do. You want to grab it as close to the end as you possibly can and make sure you always do that. Otherwise, if something does go wrong, the anti-bear trap fails or the trigger accidentally gets pulled because you haven't put the safety on, then there's going to be less resistance. The further you are up the barrel, there's less resistance there that you're putting on that barrel when it snaps back. If you're holding it there, it can try and snap back and you've got a lot of resistance due to the whole physics of it all. But yeah, just bear in mind when you're cocking and loading your Springer that your hand can and often does creep up the barrel when you're cocking it. Excellent. Now I'm keeping the glove on again for this next bit of information. I will make sure the rifle is in safe. I shall cock and load the rifle. And you'll notice that I've got a bag here. Now, it's perfectly acceptable to shoot a Springer from a bag, but what I don't recommend is that you just use the bag as it is. Okay, what you want is the least amount of resistance possible. So get a glove on your hand. You don't have to wear a glove. Put your hand on the bag, gently hold the rifle. I'm hardly even holding it at all there, just to give it a little bit of stability. But it's allowing the rifle's recoil to do what it wants to do. Okay, that's going to slide quite easily in that glove, whereas on there it'll rock, but it's not going to slide. And you'll just find, like I have through years and years and years and years of practice, that resting the rifle on a glove, barely gripping it, will give you more accuracy from a rested position. Now the same rules apply when you're shooting a Springer from a standing position. Make sure the safety is on, cock the rifle, make sure you keep hold of the barrel, put your pellet in, grab the rifle here, we're ready to go. And you'll notice I'm wearing a glove again. It's purely because I'm going to be shooting from a hunting perspective in the next shot. But the same rules apply. What you don't want to do is grip this rifle as tight as you can, wedge it into your shoulder, as tight as you can and be all tensed up like that, because that is going to make your accuracy go all over the place. What you want to do is not even grip the stock of the rifle, just rest it in your hand, use your fingers and your thumb just to sort of make sure it's held in position, but you're not actually holding it. And the reason for that is, again, the recoil. You want that rifle to do its thing when you pull that trigger, let the recoil do its thing. It's not going to slip around off the glove like it would be from the rested position, but the key is not to grip it, not to grip it too tight. If you do that, it's going to affect your accuracy. So imagine you're in a hunting scenario, and this here post is a tree. I'm going to rest my hand up against this tree, and I'm using an L shape there. That rifle is literally resting on my thumb. This finger here is just guiding the rifle to where I want it to be to take my shot. I'm not gripping it, I'm literally just resting it, much like I would do if this was a pole cue, funny enough, same sort of thing. The key is not to grip that rifle, because if you grip it, your accuracy is really going to suffer. The more you practice taking shots from a standing position, whether it's freehand or rested up against a post like that for a hunting scenario, and getting used to not actually gripping the rifle, just resting it, the much more accurate you're going to be.